Hi, my name is Tonya, and I'm your holistic cancer wellness specialist. And this is Power Pantaloons podcast. And today we have with us Dr. Greg Ewan. Hello, Dr. Greg. How are you today?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. So, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do?
All right. Well, I'm a psychiatrist, a Tai Chi instructor, and a massage therapist. What I specialize in, you could say, is in Qi cultivation. You may have heard of the term Qi. That's the vital energy that in Chinese medicine they say runs through your body to keep us healthy. So I am promoting this technique called Do-In, mindful self-massage, as an important tool to help you to cultivate that qi. There's other ways of cultivating qi. I'm promoting this method because it is so simple, easy, and readily available.
So, why don't you talk a little bit more about that? Um, can you show us a couple of examples, maybe?
Sure, sure. Basically, Do-In mindful self-massage is based on the premise that in the Tai Chi classics, they says, where your mind goes, the chi goes. So, example, if you focus on your palm, your mind focusing on the feeling, the sensation in your middle of your palm, the chi, the vital energy will gather there. Okay. And when the chi gathers there in traditional Chinese medicine, they say where the chi goes, the blood goes. So when you focus on this point, the chi goes there, the blood goes there. When the blood goes there, you get good oxygen, good nutrients, cleaning out carbon dioxide and toxins. That spot is going to be feeling really good and healthy. Okay. Now, if you imagine you do this mind-body connection to your whole body, your body will be flowing full of this qi. Okay. In traditional Chinese medicine, they say most diseases are caused by an imbalance in the flow of the qi or a blockage in the flow of the qi. So when you get this qi flowing throughout your whole body, you're going to optimize your level of health. And so you can do this with Tai Chi, you can do this with yoga. I'm recommending this practice of Do-In. It's self-massage in a mindful way that gets your qi flowing throughout your whole body. And it's very basic and very easy to do.
Fantastic. How does it relate to your chakra centers?
Well, chakras is kind of like a different system, you could say. There's different energy centers that are in the body. The Chinese talk about energy centers, not in the same way of the chakras, like seven, chakra centers, or for example. But for example, we have the Dangtian, which is in the lower belly. We have another center up here, or center here, and another up here. So I think they usually put into three different centers, usually in the Chinese way of thinking.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that, and I was curious.
Sure.
Okay, so how would you start? You just think about where you
Well,
want your
I have an instructional video that can take people through the actual massage sequence, but basically it's you just massaging. Okay, we could start, for example, with the hand and just like massage your fingers, tops and bottoms and sides like that. Okay. Now most people, they use their hands every day, but when do they actually focus in a focused way on the actual fingers in your hands? We don't do that. It's
no.
not something we commonly do. But think about it this way on another level. Take it away from this idea of qi and Chinese medicine. If you give love to anything, whether it's your pets, your plants, your work, your kids, what happens when you give love to something?
Energy changes.
Yeah. Well, it will thrive. It'll feel nurtured, all of that. And think about how we have our body every day, and we don't give that same kind of love to our body. And we're talking about with the do in, when you're massaging every spot in your body, you're saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I care about you, I care about you. And how do you think your body's going to respond?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's sort of common
absolutely.
sense. It's sort of common sense. I don't have any scientific data on this. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it just sort of makes so much sense to do that. It's so obvious in one way, you know?
Yes, sometimes the most obvious things are too obvious.
Right, right. Yeah, that's it. And that's why I like it. It's so simple, but it's not easy because you got to do it. You got to do it, right? Like, and it's like any kind of discipline that we have, whether it's exercising or watching our diet. We have to do it. And yeah, that's the other side of it. So it's simple in concept and all that, but the execution is where people need to get the real benefit, you know.
Well, I find that I have been massaging my fingers for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, yeah. But imagine if you do your whole body.
Yeah,
And I emphasize, I call it the principle of the whole, WHOLE. And what I mean by that is you can, go on YouTube and they'll give you various massage sequences to do. Okay. And I have nothing against them. I think any kind of body mind connection that you do is going to be a benefit. But I emphasize the whole body. Why do I emphasize the whole body? If you take the Greek word holos, Holos, okay, it is the derivative of the words whole, WHOLE, holy, HOLY, and health, HEALTH. And you talk about holistic treatment for cancer survivors, it embodies the idea of the whole. So the point that I'm trying to make is you can massage certain parts of your body, okay? But if you massage your whole body, there is a synergistic effect. In other words, the sum of the whole will be greater than the sum of the parts. Okay, or I should say the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Yeah. So two and
yes.
two is going to be greater than four. What you experience in terms of your level of health will be so much more than just you did a few parts. Oh yeah, it's good, you get benefit. But when you do the whole, it just ratchets it up even further. Yeah.
I absolutely believe that mind, body, spirit, you need to work on all of them together in order
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
healthy. Like that's
Definitely.
the whole premises of, dis-ease. Disease starts with a dis-ease somewhere in the body first that you're not addressing, and energetic blocks or stagnation or whatever is the first start of that. It's the beginning, and if you don't address it, it can progress.
Yes. Yes.
Where else did I want to go? I wanted to ask how you think that Do-in relates to acupressure or acupuncture.
Well, Do-in is sort of like a manual stimulation, whereas acupuncture uses the needles to stimulate. Okay. And my feeling about it is if you do Do-in practice on a regular basis, it will obviate any need for an acupuncturist. You can be your own sort of doctor that way. It's not just, I'm not trying to discourage people to go see acupuncturists. Far be it for me to say not do that. Uh, get value from that, but it'll be your way of saving money, being more responsible for your own health, you know. And acupressure is very similar in a sense, but again, it doesn't. Okay, here's again the principle of whole we're bringing in here. In acupressure, they're more concerned about the points. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me get you. Let's show you the acupuncture doll. Yeah.
You have an acupuncture. Why am I not surprised?
Okay, so the acupuncture doll has the lines of energy they call them meridians.
Meridians.
toes. And then the points are on these lines, these meridians. Okay, so it's kind of like a road map of the landscape of the body. Okay, and what we realize is that the road map doesn't tell you the actual landscape, just like a real road map doesn't tell you where the store is or where the tree is and all that kind of thing. So what I'm trying to say is that when you approach it from the whole uh, principle of the whole, you are massaging not just these points, but beyond these points as well. So we're really trying to incorporate a whole ball of wax. Yeah. And that to me is where you're going to get more benefit. So I have nothing against acupressure, a lot of value there, acupuncture, a lot of value there, but I'm trying to go beyond it in some respect. And, you know, have all due respect to those disciplines. I'm making a stand on this and saying there's more value there.
Okay, so now my next question would be on technique because not everybody knows how to do massage.
Right.
Um, do you want to speak a little bit about that? Are you talking little slow circular motions? Are
Well,
you talking
yeah, good, very good. Okay, so for people that don't have experience with massage, I do recommend that they see a body therapist for a period of time so that they can kind of get an idea of what it's like to feel when somebody is pressing in and feel those little knots and those points that are tender and all that. And so get some experience there. It's a good thing. And I usually recommend if you're going to be doing that, when somebody massages you or presses you, you meet them on the inside with your mind and awareness at that spot. Okay. A lot of times, I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. You go to a massage therapist, you're just cruising, you're just like letting it happen. You're not even paying attention. You just
No,
want to,
not at all. You're just
right,
just
right,
be
right.
being in the moment and
Yeah.
feeling all the
So
beautiful zen.
there's value.
Absolutely.
There's value to that. It's a nice feeling. But if you really want to cultivate your chi, use the body therapist as a assistant. So when they press that spot, oh, that's the feeling. Your mind is there, and you kind of meet them halfway. You can say. Then you do that to your whole body. You'll learn the feelings in your whole body if they do a comprehensive massage. So start there, and then you kind of have to just kind of begin to explore it with yourself. So in a way, that's why I like to do live presentations on Doan instruction, because I can help, press on people or students in the class and help them get a sense of how deep you need to go. In general, people tend to not, if you don't have experience, tend to not go deep enough. So I would encourage people to try to go a little deeper than your usual, and then, don't hurt yourself, but get to a point where you're like, whoa, you feel something. Yeah. So when I press on people, they go, whoa, like that. It's because I'm kind of getting in there a little deeper than maybe they're used to. And that's where when people have aches or pains and that in doing their doing, I call that they have found gold. Okay. I call it gold because when you have an ache or pain like that, it means that that area needs more attention. It's kind of like that spot is not used to that attention or the chi coming through there. But if you keep working on that spot that is a little achy or whatever, little by little, you'll find that you can tolerate the pressure a lot more, and then it gets sort of balanced out. So those little pain spots, or what I call gold, are really valuable when you do this Doan to your whole body. You'll discover some of these spots, and over time, if you do it on a regular basis, things will be changing. Like I had this one spot in my lower leg, and I do Doan virtually every day, right? So I press on this spot, and I'm going, whoa, where did that come from? I pressed on there all the time. I can't tell you. I really don't know where it came from, but it was very sensitive. And then I saw, kind of give it a little more attention as time goes by. And then eventually, like today, no sensitivity. It's fine. So whatever the case may be, for that time, maybe there's a little bit of imbalance in the flow or whatever. But in any case, I give it the attention, and hopefully the chi energy did what it needed to do, you know. So it kind of is also based on sort of a faith that the body has healing ability. Yeah. See, so much of the time we're like, you know, we feel like in order to heal, we got to go see a doctor. You know, that's great for my business. I mean, I'm not a sort of medical doctor, I'm a psychiatrist, but you know, we like to think like, well, we can cure everybody, you know, but you know, we all know that's not true, kind of thing.
I do think that healing does start in the mind,
Oh,
and that whether you believe that you can be healed or not absolutely affects the outcome of your whatever treatment you decide to go with. And I'm gonna speak specifically on that for a minute because when I was diagnosed with cancer, my friend was like, okay, so you have today to be angry, you could scream at God, you could do all the why me, but tomorrow we're gonna wake up and we have a battle plan, we're gonna kick cancer's butt. So the primary thing that I did every day, it was not a negotiable, is when I changed my underwear, I visualized that I put on a pair of Wonder Woman's pantaloons. And because Wonder Woman doesn't die, and I credit my conquering my cancer, like 95% of it was this one action,
great, wonderful, wonderful.
which is where the name of the podcast comes from.
Do we get to see those pantaloons? That's what I want to know.
No, not right now. We do not.
Well, you gotta kind of give us the image, you know, so we can work with it. You
well, well, old style pantaloons that go all the way down to your
well,
ankles, right? Like that.
does it have stars on it, like red and blue and
Right. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
okay,
Blue
yeah.
with
Well,
white stars, just like her,
maybe you can
but
start doing some merchandising, maybe. You know, people might want to get a pair. Hey, think about it, Tonya. You could start a
yeah,
whole line of clothing, man.
yeah, pantaloons. Pantaloons would be fun. I definitely one of my goals is to make myself a couple of pairs of these, and when I start speaking live on stages, I will be wearing actual pantaloons.
Wonderful. I want to see that picture. I want to see that picture.
Yeah, like, because it really is such an important aspect of why I was able to overcome the cancer.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Um, I went to a couple of like support network places, and while I was there, people were stewing in their diagnosis and they just wanted to complain. Nobody wanted to talk about alternative wellness modalities to add in to their program. No, nobody wanted to do anything except bitch and moan. And I was like, I cannot. This environment is bad for me.
Uh,
So I found
good
my
judgment. You use good judgment.
I built my own support networks where
Uh-huh.
you know, I made it exceedingly clear that we were not to give me expiration dates, nor were we allowed to mourn me while you were standing in my presence. What
Uh-huh.
you discussed behind closed doors, where I couldn't hear, that was on you. But in my presence, we were not gonna,
Okay, wonderful.
because that was not
Uh-huh.
uh proactive for me. Like
Great.
yeah,
Would this be a time where we might want to talk about my theory on the cause of cancer?
this would be a perfect time
Yeah.
for us to have that
Okay.
discussion.
Okay. Okay. So when I think about cancer, again, I'm thinking more in terms of energy, energetics, because the Chinese medical system is kind of based on the energy, the qi. We're talking about the qi again. Okay. So think of it this way: if something is growing, like say on my cheek, if something is growing and it's really growing, something's got to be feeding it. It's got to be getting some energy there, right, to feed
Yeah.
it. Okay. So the point that I would say is there's an excessive amount of energy to make that thing grow. And by the energy being excessive, what it means is it's not balanced. The energy is not balanced in your body. So you need to kind of balance that energy. So how do we balance that energy? First of all, you've got to make a change. Okay. So the way to think of it is this way. Cancer is the end result of a long time particular habit or lifestyle. That's how I think of it. Okay, people would maybe disagree, but I think of cancer as being sort of like if you have a bullwhip, okay, you uh, bring it back and then you go forward, and it takes a long time before you hit the snap, okay? And the cancer is sort of that tail end of this long lifetime of bad habits or bad thinking, whatever it may be, and it manifests in that way, okay? So you have to make, the key thing is to make a change. In your case, perhaps what worked had it to do with your thinking, whatever, you know, maybe you are always kind of a more positive, proactive kind of individual, and you wouldn't just stand for the usual way of things. But clearly, you know, you didn't just kind of settle for the usual ways of dealing with cancer and surviving cancer. You went kind of beyond that. You kind of like did your own thing, kind of thing. Which, yeah. So you it does have to do with like getting out of your usual habits. In a discipline called macrobiotics, that was a proponent was one of the major ones was Michio Kushi. It was founded by George Osawa. Anyway, they talk about a dietary approach to health and happiness. And their idea of cancer is that it is caused by arrogance. That's the term they use, arrogance. I don't like using that term. That sounds a little bit kind of harsh and confronting. But the arrogance has to do with people being fixed on a certain way of living. You know, they eat the same every day. They do the same things every day. They think that after 50, you figured out life. You figured out what life is all about. So this is it, man. On the road forever, just the same train. That's it, you know?
That's not quite how that works.
That's a form of arrogance, I would say. You know, that's arrogance. So when you get the cancer, you got to kind of question yourself. Hey, what am I keeping on doing habitually that might have been getting me here? You know, it could be your way of thinking, it could be your way of eating, way of exercising, whatever it may be. You need to make a change. Make a change.
I think that some of it absolutely could be stored trauma.
Oh, could be, yeah, could be
unreleased trauma.
Could be.
You know, I have spoken with several survivors who think that the same way that I do. You know, I was assaulted as a 5-year-old, and I ended up with gonorrhea, which is how they figured it out.
Oh,
and I believe that is where my cancer started. The dis-ease in my body started when I was 5, and it took all the way to 38 for it to manifest because I didn't resolve any of that.
Yeah. And then it is pretty, well, it's pretty obvious to me, but not much so for everybody in general, that when you have experienced trauma, that it sets up certain body energetic, you say, dynamics in your body.
Absolutely, it does.
You're not aware of, you know. And I myself, I mean, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I don't actually do a lot of massage therapy per se these days, but within my own self, okay, my situation was that when I was 12, my grandmother died, and I had a hard time dealing with the idea that if she died, well, you know, maybe I'm going to be going sometime too. I couldn't conceive of that thought, you know, like where am I going? What am I going to do? You know, it's a lot of fear. And it kind of lodged itself in my left lower abdomen. Okay. So I remember eating candy bars to kind of deal with that emotional crisis, if you will. And it kind of like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I remember the feeling of it being stuck in my left lower abdomen.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is like right now, it's like, you know, I hate to admit it, like, you know, this is 50 or 60 years later. I don't want, I'm going to keep you on edge as far as how old I am. But yeah, it's like number of decades later that only recently I can say that stuck energy or whatever it was through the work that I'm doing, I don't know, whatever I'm doing, all the things that I'm doing, is this like there's been a release of that, and it's like amazing how, I mean, for me to see how we can get those energy patterns stuck in our body based on our emotional experiences, and people do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't address my food, my nutrition
Mm.
while I went through my diagnosis. Uh, I was diagnosed 16 years ago, and a couple years ago is actually when I really started getting serious about it and dealing with the trauma of my childhood, being abused like that, and working through that. The my body, like the defense for me was the weight. I was putting on
Uh-huh.
physical armor,
Armor, yeah.
and I had to process, I had to come to a place where I could feel safe going out in public,
Mm-hmm.
and like in my head actually be safe, not
Uh-huh.
just, so um over the last year and a half I've lost 65 pounds.
Wow.
Yep.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yep. And it has a lot to do with doing the shadow work and figuring out, and talking to my inner child and making her
Uh,
feel safe,
uh,
and dealing with all of that.
uh,
And yeah, like, so yeah. So yeah.
Great. Wonderful. It's very inspiring. Well, since you mentioned about food, I can put a little comment about that. Okay. In Chinese medicine, different foods sort of gravitate to different parts of the body. Okay. I can't say that I'm an authority on that, or have a lot of expertise there. But for example, you could say, are you familiar with lotus root by any chance? Lotus root. It's a
I,
vegetable.
I've
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
heard of it. Yeah.
It's kind of a tuber, and it has like holes in the inside of it. Okay. So it is known to be helpful in Chinese medicine to the lungs, for example. Okay. So it would kind of resonate or vibrate with the lungs or whatever, like kind of thing. So different foods kind of go to different parts of the body, or kind of resonate with different parts of the body. So the point there is, think about it this way: if you keep eating the same kind of things all the time, you're going to get that energy being excessive to that organ or that kind of system, and
Right.
perhaps that is the basis again for this cancer to develop. So that's one another way to think of it, that in terms of diet, you want to eat a variety. I mean, it's again common sense. They always say, variety is the spice of life. You want to have variety. Don't get stuck on like, okay, breakfast is going to be this, lunch is this, like that. You don't want to live that way.
No.
Even for myself, and all due respect to all the dietary gurus out there, like when people talk about Mediterranean diet, or various other diets, all due respect to them, I have nothing against them, but even for myself, I was kind of eating more like macrobiotic way of eating for a long while. I think that I would recommend, this is my recommendation, diet should be constantly evolving. Okay. Use all the resources that you know about Mediterranean diet, or use all the keto diet, and use all of those good resources and understanding, but try to like listen to your body as to what would be the proper thing right now. Okay. And to me, that's really what's the best approach to diet. Not just stay on one thing and stay with that.
I I don't like the word diet at all.
Mm,
I think that, when people go on diets, it's to lose a little weight, and they always end up gaining weight. What you really need to do is just change your relationship with food
mm-hmm,
and with recreation. I don't use the word exercise because to me, exercise was a punishment. Like, I don't like exercise. I was
mm-hmm,
forced to do it as a
mm-hmm.
punishment, but recreation is something I want to do. So
Wonderful.
I'm more likely to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's changing how you look at something to make it
Uh-huh.
work for you.
Right, right.
So for me, it was just redefining my relationship with food and
Hmm.
being very intentional about the foods that I put in my mouth and how much of them at a time that I do that. And I have finally found something that seems to work for me. I eat four smallish meals a day, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
7-ish, 11-ish, 2-ish, and then dinner time. Like, and it's working because the
Yeah,
weight is coming off.
wonderful.
And
Great.
I did have a, a click in my head where I was walking through the kitchen and my pants hit the back of my leg in a way. And suddenly my brain was like, oh, I'm slender now. And it was the most amazing thing.
Wonderful. I wonder if some of those programs that you see on TV, like Noom and Golo, as a psychiatrist, I'm curious about what system they're using, but they're not taking it from the dietary realm. They're more kind of from the mind side of things to have change your relationship with food, maybe in the similar way that you're speaking about, in terms of how to lose weight kind of thing. It's I'm curious about that.
It's a lifestyle change. You have to
Mhm.
completely change your lifestyle,
Yeah.
and you have to be willing and open to do that.
Mhm.
If you're not, you're going to stay stuck in
Right,
that spot.
right,
But
right.
if you're open to the change and willing
Mhm.
to make teeny steps every
Yeah,
day, and I'll
right.
give you an example. I'm now completely off soda, but
Mm.
I didn't do that overnight, right? So
Mhm.
I started drinking kombucha, and then I would have kombucha with some cranberry juice and a Sprite, like make it a mixed mocktail, right?
Cocktail.
And I did that for 5 or 6 months, and then it's been less than a month, right? So
Yeah. Mhm.
recently I took the Sprite out, and now I'm making herbal teas, whether it's rosemary or
Uh-huh.
peppermint or
Great.
mullet,
Wonderful.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now it's just, my mocktail with tea instead of
yeah.
Sprite.
Right.
And it was a little change, and I
Mhm.
allowed myself to get used to it. And then I took another little change.
Uh-huh. Great. Yeah.
That's what is able to create sustainable change for yourself,
Right.
is
Yeah.
to do little itty bitty
Yeah.
baby steps.
Do something that feels okay for you. You don't want to take too big a bite. What do they say? To eat an elephant, you do one bite at a time. Uh, you don't want to like get too big a bite of the elephant. Just
Right.
whatever
If you
you do.
if you do 1% better every day,
Yeah, you're gonna
so
get there. You'll get
you're
there.
gonna get there.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. This
There's
is definitely a principle that we use in Tai Chi when people are practicing Tai Chi. A lot of times, people don't feel like they're getting it or getting to the feeling of chi, for example. But little by little, if they practice every day, then one day they're doing a movement. Oh, they feel it just so smooth and easy, and they feel this flow and all that. Yeah. So again, it's taking a little bit and doing it on a regular basis till you get to the point where something manifests. Yeah, it's
Yes,
a
it,
natural principle.
precisely.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Tell me how people can reach you. Do you have a website?
Okay. The website on Douyin, do-in.us. If you go there and you give me your email address, you'll get access to a free instructional video on Douyin that's on YouTube. And then,
Fantastic.
you can learn all about what Douyin is about and all that kind of thing. Other than that, my personal website is gregguyunmd.com, GREGYUENMD.com. And then anybody can email me at gregewan@cs.com, charliesamuel.com, gregewan@charliesamuel.com. Or people can call me as well, 808-284-7955. I'm
I
available.
I will make sure to put that in the show notes so people have ways to reach you. I really appreciate your time tonight, Dr. Greg. It was a
Yeah,
fantastic discussion.
yes. And I love the inspiration that you're giving to so many people and the transformation that you've gone through. I mean, it's really remarkable. So that's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Okay. Bye bye. Aloha.